When it comes to Naruto fans, there's often this misconception with a lot of fans that Jiraiya was a bad teacher, and I think this is completely unwarranted by the community to label Jiraiya in this manner. That's not to say that Jiraiya's training of Naruto wasn't a bit underwhelming when you look at how much Sasuke progressed under Orochimaru and Sakura progressed under Tsunade in only 2.5 years worth of training, because compared to his peers on Team 7, Naruto definitely was not impressive when you look at it on face value. However, in today's Naruto Explained video, I wanted to give Jiraiya his flowers, and I wanted to stand up for the character because I do think Jiraiya as a sensei is being criminally underrated by a majority of the fandom. So one common complaint that people have of Jiraiya is that he's basically had Naruto for a whole 2.5 years, and the most Naruto was able to do when he came back to the village was the guy was able to make an even bigger Rasengan than before, to which people all collectively say yay, and they turned their noses up and they lowered their thumbs in disapproval. It was hard to get excited about something like that in early part 2 of Naruto, because in the same arc you see Naruto use that giant Rasengan, we see an enormous amount of growth from Sakura. Under Tsunade's watchful eyes, Sakura went from being viewed in the tuning exams as being barely at a gaining level to all of a sudden in the bell test against Kakashi, she got called as Tsunade Jr. by Jiraiya, and in the sorcery fight, she's doing well enough that Chiyo in the manga literally has an internal monologue where she admits that she had been underestimating Sakura by using her puppet strings in order to help her dodge Sasori's attacks, because Chiyo realized that Sakura had already memorized Sasori's attacks and didn't need Chiyo's help to stay alive. In that same battle, we see that Sakura was knocking away the Iron Sand attacks of Sasori when he used the third Kazekage puppet, and prior to this, when Kankuro was on his deathbed, she whipped up an antidote and performed complex medical ninjutsu that was beyond Granny Chiyo's skill level, despite Chiyo being a medical genius. And even Sasori was shocked when he learned that Sakura had made an antidote because of how complex it was even for him, the guy who literally made the poison. When you compare Naruto to Sasuke, who trained under Orochimaru for the same 2.5 years, Sasuke was so strong that Orochimaru took a look at Four Tails Naruto and says, yeah, that level of power, that's not gonna be enough to keep up with Sasuke. It was our first sign that Sasuke had gotten insanely powerful, because the last time we saw Sasuke, he was relative to One Tails Naruto, but here we have Orochimaru saying Four Tails Naruto is significantly weaker than Sasuke. It was a sign of Sasuke's growth. We saw Sasuke one-shot Sai with simple Sharingan Genjutsu, and Sasuke easily took down members of Team 7 despite Yamato being an elite Jonin who was also an Anbu, and even outright suppressing the Nine Tails chakra inside of Naruto just using his Sharingan. He was using the Chidori in ways that was never thought possible up to that point, making it into a sword to cut sharper, and later on using it on Deidara by shooting it off like a projectile with the Chidori Senbon attack. In the Akatsuki suppression arc, we learned that after Sakura debriefed Tsunade on Sasuke's insane growth, Tsunade says it's unnatural growth and that Orochimaru had to have been pumping Sasuke full of performance enhancing drugs. When you compare that with Naruto making a super big Rasengan, that's absolutely lackluster. Even in the anime, when you have the filler scenes where Naruto's practicing cooperation ninjutsu with one of those toads, it looks like he's struggling with his sexual identity. Naruto, during his training under Jiraiya, never mastered it in the 2.5 years, so he couldn't even do that even in filler. This of course has led to Jiraiya being dumped on by the collective fandoms. So with evidence like that being presented, why exactly am I saying that Jiraiya gets a bad rep from fans? After all, that looks like pretty damning evidence, right? Well, not exactly. I think it's important to look at what exactly Jiraiya was working with when it came to training Naruto. He didn't get lucky like Orochimaru, who literally got one of the biggest prodigies coming out of the village in years when he got Sasuke. He didn't get lucky like Tsunade, who got her hands on Sakura, someone who was lacking in the fundamentals in terms of what it means to be a Genin, but she still had some of the highest test scores in her class or academics, and was shown in the Land of Waves arc that her chakra control was extremely advanced right out the gate, with her mastering the tree climbing exercise like it was a game, taunting Naruto and Sasuke after climbing the tree, sticking her tongue out, making fun of them, and did it with such ease that it shocked even Kakashi. When Tsunade saw Sakura in Naruto Volume 27, she flat out states after only 3 months of training that she thinks Sakura is a bigger prodigy than Shizune, someone who was an extremely talented medical ninja. Jiraiya got Naruto. He got the bottom of the barrel in terms of talent at that point in the story. We repeatedly got told by other characters from a subtle way, via Kakashi in the Land of Waves arc to Ebisu right after the tuning exams, where he bluntly told Naruto that his chakra control was absolutely terrible, whereas Sakura would use the exact amount of chakra needed for attacks and other things that required chakra. Naruto and Sasuke, they each left a lot to be desired. Naruto would use around 20% more chakra than what was needed for the jutsu, leading to him wasting more chakra than what was needed, and Naruto was stated to have wasted upwards to 50% extra chakra just to perform simple jutsu, but due to Naruto having such massive chakra reserves, he could waste all that chakra and never think anything of it because he had chakra in abundance. Naruto was going to Jiraiya as someone who, while super unorthodox, was also someone who lacked in the most of the basic fundamental skills when it came to being a ninja, and it goes deeper than just Naruto had Kurama inside of him, so Kurama was messing up Naruto's chakra control. There's actually more to it than that. To understand why, we have to look at exactly what compromises chakra in the Naruto world to see why Naruto had those glaring weaknesses and yet at the same time also had those massive strengths. Chakra is made up of both yin energy and yang energy. Yin energy is the mental energy that comes from training via training the mind with things like studying and doing meditation. Yang energy comes from the physical aspects of training, things like exercise and actual combat experience. Naruto did very well when it came to things related to yang release and yang training, but Naruto was a pretty hands-on and active type of guy, so it made sense. However, that's also the problem for Naruto. He was severely imbalanced. Naruto slept through class. He did not study. He halfway trained through meditation. Chances are if they were asked to meditate, Naruto probably took a nap. Things that basically require mental energy, mental fortitude, Naruto lacked severely in it. This not only led to him being unable to do simple things on his own, like being able to break out a simple genjutsu, like we saw when Kabuto placed the audience under a genjutsu in the Chunin exams, but also sleeping through class resulted in Naruto never learning most of the basics that were expected of a shinobi outside of actual physical combat. Jiraiya didn't have the luxury that Tsunade and Orochimaru did, whereas Tsunade, she had someone who was gifted in yin chakra and sakura and had a strong mind and had excellent chakra control, so she could focus a chunk of her training building up sakura in the form of yang training by having sakura learn the basics of shinobi combat and how to fight against Jonin caliber plus fighters. With Orochimaru, he had someone in Sasuke who was extremely gifted in yin release because he was an Uchiha, but also someone who had a firm grasp on yang release, so it was a lot easier to just build Sasuke. And both when it comes to Sasuke and Sakura, they were ready-made cars that were ready to be driven off the lot when it came to actually racing the cars. There wasn't much work that needed to be done. Meanwhile, Jiraiya not only had to teach Naruto the basics, like when he had to make Naruto hop out the boat that they were traveling in to practice breaking genjutsu by disrupting his chakra flow, but also he had to reteach Naruto all the basics that he should have already learned in the academy before he could even begin attempt the training to help Naruto control Kurama's chakra. It wasn't until after Jiraiya was almost killed that Jiraiya shifted gears away from trying to teach Naruto to control Kurama and instead began to focus on building Naruto through his strengths with the remaining time they had left for training, because he had already retaught Naruto the basics of stuff that he should have already learned through 4 years at the academy, but Naruto didn't know that stuff. If the legendary Sannin and their Team 7 students were basically running a race, Sasuke was starting the race with a pretty good head start. Sakura was right there at the starting line, maybe 1 or 2 steps ahead of it, but Naruto was so far behind that he not only wasn't dressed for the race, but Naruto was starting so far behind the line that he not only wasn't dressed for the race, he wasn't even in the arena, so that means he had to drive to the arena, register for the race, go into the locker room to get dressed, go out and stretch, and then he had to get on the track to start running. And by the time that Sasuke and Sakura are already on the second lap of the 4-lap race, Naruto finally started his run, and Naruto had to work that much harder just to catch up and then eventually to surpass them. To use a real-world example, Jiraiya was basically a teacher who took a 13-year-old student who had the reading comprehension skills of a 2nd grader, and he basically brought him up to 9th grade level where he should have been, but because he wasn't reading on 12th grade like some of his peers, Jiraiya gets called a bad teacher. And that's mostly because people overlook what it was he was working working with and how high he was able to close the gap in such a short period of time. He's actually a good teacher. When you're dealing with someone this far behind like Naruto, it takes a different approach and it takes a lot of patience and a lot of creativity to teach them. That's the whole reason why Kakashi had his internal monologue in chapter 315-ish of Naruto's manga, where he's basically going, how in the hell did Jiraiya teach this doofus how to do something as complex as the Rasengan, a jutsu with an A rank level of difficulty? Jiraiya had the patience to get creative and break down the learning process into steps and allowed Naruto the freedom to get the answer to the task that was presented to him when he was learning the Rasengan, no matter how unorthodox it was. It required a different approach to training. It required a different approach to teaching, a more visual approach, and a more unorthodox approach. It's the whole reason why Yamato had to use stick figures when explaining chakra natures to Naruto, and Naruto thought about the relations of chakra natures using those derpy images in his mind that looked like a third grader drew them, because that boy's mind was missing a few too many eggs to make an omelet. While it's easy to say that Jiraiya wasn't really doing much when he got his hands on Minato, because Minato was a genius, and in the time slip arc of Boruto's anime that Masashi Kishimoto wrote the story for, when Jiraiya trained Boruto, he once again was handed a genius. Training a genius isn't as simple as let them do whatever they want and they'll figure out the rest, because they require being stimulated in a different way in order for you to keep them engaged. Just as training an utter doofus like Naruto requires a more creative approach towards teaching them and helping them not only get to where they should be, but also reach their full potential. In short, I'm saying leave Jiraiya alone. Anyone else under those circumstances with Naruto, they would have been challenged. People often point to Kakashi thinking to use shadow clones to train Naruto, but it's important to remember Kakashi only thought to use that method because Kakashi and Tsunade are both stumped at how Orochimaru was able to take Sasuke and level him up to a Kage level power in such a short amount of time, and that's when Kakashi thought to use shadow clones. The why behind what we get to that conclusion is just as important as the act itself. That being said, I know there's still some of you guys who think Jiraiya is a bad teacher, so I'm curious to know why you still think so down in the comment section below.